Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين بارئ الخلائق أجمعين باعث الأنبياء والمرسلين ثم الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين خاتم النبيين شفيع المذنبين رحمة للعالمين مولانا وسيدنا أبي القاسم محمد اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين لا سيما بقية الله في الأرض مولانا حجة ابن الحسن عجل الله تعالى فرجه الشريف اللهم صل على محمد ولعنة الله على أعدائهم أجمعين من الآن إلى قيام يوم الدين أما بعد فقد قال الله بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لا أقسم بيوم القيامة وَلَا أُقْسِمُ بِالنَّفْسِ اللَّوَّامَةِ. Respected elders, brothers and sisters, tonight we are commemorating the wafat of the father of Amirul Mu'mineen, Hazrat Abu Talib alayhi salatu wassalam. Allahumma salli ala. Allow me to continue in the first part on our subject, which is the subject of spirituality. And then in the second half, I want to speak about Hazrat Abu Talib, maybe in a way that some of you will find new. Although it is not new, but maybe you will find it new because these things are usually not spoken about. Our subject was in spirituality, and what we had mentioned was that whenever you take the path of spirituality, the religious side of things, to maintain your religion, to act according to the deen of Islam is fundamental. Religion itself is sacred. And religion must not be distorted. This is why, Azizan, I'm very much strong on this point, that be careful when you talk about religion. Be careful what you conclude about your religion. Do not let anything distort your view of religion. Spirituality, in its absolute fundamental sense, needs a submission to Allah, and that means submission to religion because Allah has given us this religion. So, once we've understood this, then we can understand ourselves a bit more. The most basic level of the nafs, which unfortunately we see in this world quite common and many people are in this stage, is called nafs-e ammara. Nafs-e ammara is that stage of the nafs which takes you towards, commands you towards evil. Inna nafsa la ammaratun bisu. The nafs that we're talking about here is the one that commands you towards evil. What are the characteristics of this one? It's always looking at excess, wants more. For example, more luxury in life, more food, more sleep, more sex. It's almost a very animalistic kind of way of life. And it's a critical emergency situation when someone finds themselves in this stage. They need to quickly exit and move further. Otherwise, if they stay in that state, then ulaika kal an'am. Then they will be like animals. Bal hum adal. Actually, they are worse than animals. Quran says. So, how do we move from nafs-e ammara into a better stage of our soul? Few things. Number one, resolve. Resolve. Make a decision. Tell yourself, this is not good enough. I'm not happy with my situation. I don't want to be like this anymore. Make a resolve. Do you know how powerful your resolve is? Do you know how powerful the human will is? Willpower, resolve, decision to say, no, enough's enough. We do this all the time in our lives. When our health is not good, we make a resolve. We say, no, this can't continue. I need to improve. When finances are not right, when money situation is not good, we make a resolve, don't we? We say, no, that's it. Enough's enough. From now on, I will improve. So why don't we do it in religion? Make a resolve. Tell yourself that no, this is not good enough. This is not the way I was created. This is not why I was created. This is not the life I want to lead. Number one is resolve. Number two, account. Think about your life. Account yourself. What's happening? What am I doing? How is my time going? Can I justify 3, 4, 5 hours just doing nothing? Can I justify my life just being about endless pursuit of luxury and pleasure? Account yourself and shock yourself. It's okay. We're not so precious that we can't shock ourselves now and again. Shock yourself. Tell yourself this is not good enough. Move on. Do things that you account yourself and you move forward. Number 3, the biggest. Ask Hujjat ibn al-Hasan, Imam Zaman, to help you. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Tell your Imam, tell Imam Zaman, oh Imam, help me. Oh Imam, I need your help. You take my hand and get me out of this situation. You help me progress. Ask Allah for help, ask Imam Zaman for help, and do all of these things. And then inshallah we can move forward into the next level of the nafs. Allah says, La uqsimu biyawmil qiyamah wa la uqsimu bin nafsil lawwama. The second stage is nafsil lawwama. Nafsil lawwama is referenced in the Quran. And here, lawwama basically means the one which accuses or the one which blames. In other words, a person has to move from that very animalistic way of living, into a type of life in which he starts to feel guilt. It's a very bad sign when someone does wrong but doesn't feel guilty. I still reckon people who do wrong and feel guilt, their heart is still alive. Someone who does wrong but doesn't feel any guilt, any remorse, we have to pray for them a lot. That heart could be dead or dying, because it's not normal for a human being to do things wrong and not feel guilt. This is against human nature. That person is not fully functioning as a human being, we can say. So nafs al-lawwama is now when you start to feel guilt, remorse, something is not right. Allah says, I swear by nafs al-lawwama, by that soul which is blaming or accusing, the self-accusing soul. If anyone feels guilty, feels remorse, feels an awakening inside themselves, then thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is a great gift of God. It is a great gift of God to feel guilt. It is a great gift of God to feel remorse. It is a great gift of Allah that something is not right in my life. Then and only then you will be able to progress. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. So as soon as this kind of attitude or mindset starts, then what you must do is immediately make sure you undertake the wajibat. All wajibat have to be done. Mainly, I'm talking about namaz. Yes, there are other wajibat, but mainly namaz. Let's start with namaz. Start with your namazes. 5 namazes a day. Okay, let's say, God forbid, someone finds it difficult to pray Fajr, for example. Okay, try. You may miss. It may take you time to develop that habit of praying Fajr. Pray qaza. But don't let it go. Don't let it just get missed day after day after day. In the beginning, if you're not praying at all, for sure it's going to take you time to develop a habit. For sure it's going to take you some time to start waking up at that time. But don't let it go to waste. Don't let it get missed totally. Pray qaza. So undertake your wajibat. Undertake the other things which are wajib in your life. Make sure that at this stage, because now you're awakening, Allah is awakening you, your internal faculties are awakening, don't let it go to waste. So make sure you do your wajibat. Now here, we have a question. And this question has come to me from one of the mu'mineen, and I thank him for this question. And the question is this: is ibadat part of spirituality? The answer to that is yes, undoubtedly. People We love to speak about ma'rifat and knowledge. Ma'rifat and knowledge. We love to speak about that. Have you heard this lecture? Did you hear this lecture? Let me send you the clip. Let me send you the forward. Let me send you the YouTube clip. We are overcome with ma'rifat and knowledge. My question to you is, what was meant to happen once you obtain ma'rifat and knowledge? Was it not meant to result in some more ibadat of God? Or was it only meant to stay here, in our brains? So spirituality, yes, fundamentally spirituality is linked to ibadat. Now someone will say, for example, well, ibadat can be many things. I remember a couple of years ago, this one guy, I won't say the Jamaat or anything, I don't want to give it away, God bless him, wonderful person. He organized on a Thursday evening, Jumerat, he organized a gathering of the youths. Very good. I mean, who doesn't like the youths to gather all together, right? We all do. He organized this gathering of the youths. So he was like, will your son come? I said, when is it? He said, it's at the time of Dua Kumel. I said, why are you putting it at the time of Dua Kumel? He goes, why not? I said, Dua Kumel, dua, istighfar, ibadat. He goes, no, there's many ways of worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I said, for sure. But Dua Kumel is one of the fundamentals. Serving people is also very good, but don't forget your Haqqullah. We have become so much obsessed with serving and doing Haqqul Nas. We forget Haqqullah sometimes. Haqqullah is the basis. These are two sides of the same coin. Haqqul Nas, Haqqullah. Never neglect your Haqqullah. Always remember that your ibadat is fundamental to your spirituality. In fact, I would even go one stage further. Your ibadat is fundamental for your haqqun nas to be accepted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When the argument happened between the sons of Nabi Adam, Habil and Qabil, when Qabil killed Habil, before that they had a discussion. That how come your offering was, you know the whole story, I won't go into depth. How come your offering was accepted and mine wasn't? What was the reply? Innama yataqabbalallahu minal muttaqeen. Allah only accepts from those who have taqwa. So, number one, yes. Ibadat and spirituality go hand in hand. Second question. What if I don't feel spiritual when I do my ibadat? Lizzat nati, maja nati. I don't get that enjoyment. I don't taste the sweetness of the ibadat. Now what? That's a very, very good question. Now, let's go into this with salawat, please. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. The first thing I'll say is that it depends what you mean when you say majanati, lizzatnati, I don't feel that sweetness, I don't feel that connection. What do you mean? Okay? It could be that you are expecting something which is not meant to happen. Right? So we have this joke in the Hawza that someone, he prays namaz ishab for 3 days. And people say to him, mashallah, you're praying namaz ishab, it's really good. He says, yes, but I'm surprised. Jibreel still has not come to me. Like, what are you expecting? So some things are unrealistic. Like, what do you want when you say sweetness or the pleasure in ibadat? What are you expecting? So that we have to explore, right? However, if we go a little bit deeper, there are times when we may not enjoy our ibadat. And there are times when we are on a spiritual high. There are times when we are on a spiritual low. There are two reasons for that. Number one, the first reason is self-inflicted. Sometimes with our sins, we can go down in our spirituality. And sometimes with our good deeds, we can go up in spirituality. And sometimes it's not self-inflicted, it's God-inflicted. Yes? Allah can cause us sometimes to feel spiritually down. Allah can cause us sometimes to feel spiritually down. Why? Why? Someone, if you answer this, I'll be very impressed. Why would Allah sometimes cause someone to feel spiritually down? To lift you, yes, to make you stronger, right? You get knocked down, exactly, it test upon test, you get knocked down, can you get back up? You build your resistance, He challenges you, you build it more, He challenges you, you build it more. It's it's a gift from God, but it's a tough gift. It's a tough gift. It's tough love from Allah. But yes, it happens. And now there's a third reason. 2 we've done, now this is number 3. Nabi Musa was going on that 40-day conversation, munajat with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And one of the Bani Israel stops him. And this man of Bani Israel was very rude. He was especially kind of like disrespectful to God. He says, Musa, where are you going? He says, I'm going on the mountain. I've been called by Allah to go and speak with Him, to spend time with Him. He says, do me a favor, give your Allah a message. Ask Him, I've been sinning so much, I do so many gunnah, how come He doesn't punish me? Very disrespectful way of talking to God, right? They ask your Allah, I'm doing so many gunnah, I'm doing so many sins, why is He not punishing me? Musa goes, he starts to converse with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They say Musa felt shy. How could you reveal this kind of disrespectful, badtameez, disrespectful kind of tone in front of God? Allah says to Musa, did my servant give you a message for me? Musa says, yes, but I'm shy. He said, no, tell me. He says he's doing so many sins, but you're not punishing him. How come? Allah says to him, tell him, I've given him the most severe punishment. Musa says, what is this most severe punishment? He says, tell him that because of his sins, I have removed the sweetness from his worship. I have removed the sweetness from his worship. So there are different reasons. One, yes, could be, depends what you're expecting. Maybe you have unrealistic expectations. Number 2 is that, yes, there are natural highs and lows of spirituality. Number 3, yes, there's a possibility that maybe we are sinning, and that sin or those sins are bringing us down and not allowing us to taste that sweetness of worship. What is the answer? Is it doom and gloom? No, it's not. قُلْ يَا عِبَادِيَ الَّذِينَ أَسْرَفُوا عَلَىٰ أَنفُسِهِمْ. Tell my servants who have made sins, لَا تَقْنَطُوا مِنْ رَحْمَةِ اللَّهِ. Never despair of the mercy of God. إِنَّ اللَّهَ يَغْفِرُ الذُّنُوبَ جَمِيعًا. Allah will forgive every single sin. إِنَّهُ هُوَ الْغَفُورُ الرَّحِيمُ. He is the most forgiving and the most merciful. Now this brother who asked this question, he asked it. What was that? That was tawfiq from Allah that he asked this question. I heard it, that's tawfiq from Allah. I remembered it, that's tawfiq from Allah. He clarified it, that's tawfiq from Allah. I'm here sharing this with you, although I don't know much, that's tawfiq from Allah. You who are here listening to these words, this is tawfiq from Allah. Allah wants us to change. Allah will never leave anybody. The door is never closed on anybody. لا تقنطوا من رحمة الله. Don't lose hope in the mercy of Allah. He will forgive everything. But you have to make some effort. You have to ask Him for forgiveness. Hope it's clear, inshallah. With a salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Hazrat Abu Talib, father of Amirul Mu'mineen. Amirul Mu'mineen alayhi salam could never have come into a household and into a father and mother who were not special. Many a times, year upon year, what we do, and I fully understand this and I love this habit, is that we talk in our majalis about the iman of Abu Talib. Correct? We prove that Hazrat Abu Talib was a mu'min, he had iman, and there is no, astaghfirullah, kufr or shirk to be attributed to him. But that's not the full story. There is much more to be said about Hazrat Abu Talib. First of all, let's do a quick recap of the history of Hazrat Abu Talib. Hazrat Abu Talib, his father was Hazrat Abdul Muttalib, whose father was Hazrat Hashim. Hence, they are called the Bani Hashim, the clan of Hashim, after the grandfather of Hazrat Abu Talib. Hazrat Abu Talib had 10 sons. Hazrat Abdullah and Hazrat Abdul Muttalib had 10 sons. These two, father of Prophet and father of Amirul Mu'mineen, these two brothers had the same mother. Other sons had different mothers. These two had the same mother. He was born 35 years before the birth of Rasulullah. So before Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was born, Allahumma sallallahu. Hazrat Abu Talib was 35 years senior to the Holy Prophet. He had, it is recorded in history, possibility of 3 names. Either actually his name from birth was Abu Talib. You see, in Arabian culture, it's not necessary that you have a son and then paka you are called father of. It could be even from birth you are called father of. It doesn't mean always that because of your son or your offspring you're called father of. So one opinion is that no, from birth only his name was Abu Talib. From childhood. Number 2, Abd Manaf. And number 3, Imran. These are the 3 names attributed in history to Hazrat Abu Talib. What was his profession? He was a trader. He was a businessman. He traded 2 things, wheat and perfume. The weird thing is that he was an outlier in Makkah. He was counted as one of the senior figures of Quraysh. One of the leaders of Makkah was Hazrat Abu Talib. But he had a difference. The rest of those leaders were all rich and powerful. Hazrat Abu Talib, although we won't say he was poor, but he was not as wealthy as those other ones. But the thing that singles him out is that he was more generous than all of them. When Hazrat Abu Talib used to give something, he used to give more than everyone. See, you don't need excessive wealth to be generous. He had limited means, but a lot of generosity. So his generosity stood out, and he was known for this. He was known for his nobility, his generosity, his kindness, and especially he had one key responsibility, and that was to take care of the Hujjaj who used to come for Hajj, especially in the matter of providing water. This was his honor, that he would be one of those who provided water to those who are coming for Hajj. Water being the commodity for life itself, more precious than gold, even in that time, in that dry, barren land, was provision of water. Now, he had a number of children. They say famously 6 children. One of them, of course, the special, His Royal Highness, His Majesty, Amirul Mu'mineen, Ali ibn Abi Talib, alayhi salatu wassalam. Allahumma sallam. The other children were Talib, Aqil, Ja'far, the 4 sons, 2 daughters, Fakhita, Jumana. Fakhita, the famous title of Fakhita was Umme Hani. Sister of Amirul Mu'mineen was Umme Hani, real name Fakhita. Now, this Hazrat Abu Talib, what happens with him? is that, first of all, the Prophet is born. Before he is born, Hazrat Abdullah, his father, passes away. Shortly, not long after he is born, his mother passes away. So Rasulullah is a yatim. Okay, he's an orphan. He is taken under the guardianship of his grandfather. So from the age of 2, he is under the guardianship of his grandfather, Hazrat Abdul Muttalib. Hazrat Abdul Muttalib dies when Rasulullah is aged 8. 6 years he was under the care of his grandfather. As he is dying, he says, bring Abu Talib to me. As Hazrat Abdul Muttalib is dying, he says, bring my son Abu Talib to me. Hazrat Abu Talib arrives at the side of his father. His father says, Ya bunayya qad alimta shiddata hubbi li Muhammadin wa wujdi bih. My son, O Abu Talib, you know, this is Hazrat Abdul Muttalib saying, you know how much deeply I love Muhammad and how much I'm attached to him. Undur kayfa tahfadhani fihi. Now I'm leaving this world. I want to see how will you behave with my beloved grandson Muhammad. Hazrat Abu Talib says the following, Ya Abba, O my dear father, La tusini bi Muhammad. You don't need to tell me anything about Muhammad. فَإِنَّهُ ibni, because he is my son. This is Hazrat Abu Talib. Now how long does he look after the Holy Prophet? How long does he protect him for? 42 years. 42 years. I ask you, if you were given the tawfiq of looking after the Holy Prophet, even for 1 year, how much you would be honored by that? Or 1 day, or 1 hour even, if you say, I was given the honor of hosting the Holy Prophet, hosting Imam Zaman, hosting Amirul Mu'mineen. How much that would give you pleasure. This man looked after the Prophet for 42 years. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. The question arises that what was the deen of Hazrat Abu Talib? What was the religion of Hazrat Abu Talib? So now we have this belief in Shia Islam that, for example, we say to Abu Abdullah, we say that you were Nuran fil aslab shamikha wal arhamil mutahhara. Ya Abu Abdullah, we bear witness that you were a light that was transferred from pure person to pure person, pure loin to pure loin, and from pure womb to pure womb. In other words, we bear witness that none of your forefathers or all of the ladies which gave birth to your lineage, we bear witness. They were all pure. None of them ever did shirk. None of them ever disbelieved in God. None of them ever, for example, drank alcohol and this kind of thing. They were pure. So what was the deen of Hazrat Abu Talib? Many people will say, oh, he was a believer. Many people will say, oh, he believed in God. I want to go further than that. I want to go further than that. Imam Ja'far Sadiq alayhi salam says, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. He says Hazrat Abu Talib was so special. Mathalu Abi Talib, Mathalu Ahlil Kahf. The example of Hazrat Abu Talib is like that of the people of the cave. Ashab Kahf. Hina asarrul iman. The way they hid their faith. وَأَظْهَرُوا الشِّرْكِ, and they showed outwardly that they were not against the shirk or the polytheism. Inside they hid their iman. Outside they lived amongst the people. فَآتَاهُمُ اللَّهُ أَجْرَهُمْ مَرَّتَيْنِ. So Allah gave them double the reward. One reward, why? Because they had faith. Second reward, why? Because they hid their faith. Hiding the faith sometimes you have to do. Practically, intellectually, logically, in order to save yourself and sometimes save the religion, you have to do. What Hazrat Abu Talib was doing all of this time is that he was hiding his faith, or more likely we can say not declaring too openly his faith. Why would he do that? In order to influence things behind the scenes, in order to support the Holy Prophet, in order to influence the Quraysh, in order to allow Islam to spread. This was the role of Hazrat Abu Talib. But still the question remains, what was his religion? Today, it is very easy to look at people and say, okay, these people are Jewish, these people are Hindu, these people are Muslims. These labels today are very easy for us. In those days, those labels were not there. We didn't have these labels. Okay? So, we need to look at this in a little bit more depth. Who was the prophet immediately before the prophet of Islam? Who was the prophet? Nabi Isa. Nabi Isa. Nabi Isa was sent to where? Where was he sent? Was he sent to Arabia? Did he arrive in Makkah, Medina, Hijaz? Where was he sent? He was sent to the Bani Israel, correct? He was sent to that area. Before him, Nabi Musa. These were all Bani Israel prophets, the prophets of Bani Israel. Who was the prophet in Arabia then? Who was the prophet in Arabia? We will say Nabi Ibrahim was the prophet in Arabia. And Nabi Ibrahim had two sons. One was amongst the Bani Israel, Nabi Ishaq. One was amongst the Arabs, Nabi Ismail. So now we have a gap. Nabi Ismail has left the world all the way until the Holy Prophet. So who was there? What was going on in that gap between Nabi Ismail leaving this world and the Holy Prophet coming into this world? What was happening? So here is where it gets interesting. That gap was filled by the awsiya, successors and representatives of Nabi Ibrahim. That gap was filled by the awsiya, the wasis of Nabi Ibrahim. The same way that after Nabi Isa was taken up by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who filled that gap? The awsiya of Nabi Isa. Here we have the awsiya of Nabi Ibrahim and Nabi Ismail. Someone comes to Amirul Mu'mineen and says, O Amirul Mu'mineen, who was the final wasi of Nabi Ibrahim? Amirul Mu'mineen replies, the final wasi of Nabi Ibrahim was my father Abu Talib. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. The final wasi of Nabi Ibrahim, Hazrat Abu Talib. Before him was who? Hazrat Abdul Muttalib. So you see, when we say the iman of Abu Talib, now you understand why I'm trying to say that we need to go much deeper. To say the iman, that he was a mu'min, this does not do him justice. Hazrat Abu Talib was one of the awsiya of Nabi Ibrahim. So, what were the particular things that Hazrat Abu Talib did? Well, one of the sayings that we have is that one of the students of Imam Musa Kazim comes to him and says to him, was Abu Talib one of the hujjats of Allah upon Prophet Muhammad? So, in other words, was Prophet Muhammad answerable to Hazrat Abu Talib, or was it Hazrat Abu Talib answerable to Prophet Muhammad? Now, the question itself gives you a lot of information, because no one can just conjure up a question like this, yeah? The question is, was Hazrat Abu Talib a hujjat upon Prophet Muhammad? So that tells you that already in the mind of this questioner, there was the concept already existing that Hazrat Abu Talib was one of the hujjats of Allah. He's just asking for more information. He's just saying, was he also a hujjat upon Rasulullah? Imam says, he was not a hujjat upon Rasulullah. He was not. In other words, as soon as Rasulullah came, that wisayat, that successorship which was held by Hazrat Abu Talib finished. Because now there's a prophet. However, he was not a hujjat upon the Holy Prophet. However, he gave the Holy Prophet the artifacts of the previous prophets. Allama Majlis, he says, what were those artifacts? 3 things are mentioned. Number 1, previous scriptures pages and books of that which was revealed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the previous prophets. Number 2, the staff and the asa of Nabi Musa was in the possession of Hazrat Abu Talib. Number 3, the ring of Nabi Sulaiman was another one of the artifacts of the Prophet. These were given to Hazrat Abu Talib in that succession, that lineage of Awsiya, Wasis of Nabi Ibrahim, and finally given to the Holy Prophet. Today they are in whose hands? Of the Imam, obviously. Have you never asked yourselves that we hear that he will come with the stick of Musa and the ring of Sulaiman and all of these artifacts? Where did he get them from? These were passed down. These were all passed down. And one of them, these people that passed this down, was Hazrat Abu Talib. When we say the azamat of Hazrat Abu Talib, inshallah, now we have a better understanding. There are more things to say, but unfortunately right now we don't have time. He cared for the Holy Prophet for 42 years, from the age of 8 till the age of 50. When he passes away, the Holy Prophet says this is not an ordinary person. The Muslims are told that we will mourn this man for 1 year. He and Janabi Khadija died very close together in the same year. The Holy Prophet says we will mourn them, an official mourning, for 1 year, Amul Huzn. This is the weight of this man, the strength of this man. When he comes to the body of Hazrat Abu Talib, what does Rasulullah say? He says, I was a child, you looked after me. I was a yatim, you cared for me. When I was in danger, you sheltered me. Throughout his life, at every point when the Holy Prophet was under siege, under attack, in danger, Hazrat Abu Talib would come to his help. Hazrat Abu Talib was defending him, would protect him, would shield him, would turn away the Quraysh away from the Holy Prophet. At every point, Hazrat Abu Talib was there. When Hazrat Abu Talib leaves this world and the protection goes, now the challenges come upon Rasulullah. Now he is driven out of Makkah. Now he is told to leave his home. Now the streets are not safe for him. Now his own home is not safe for him. That night he comes to Amirul Mu'mineen. He says, Oh Ali, I have been told to leave Makkah. I am going to Medina. Will you sleep in my place? Amirul Mu'mineen says, of course I will. Will it save your life? Then yes, of course. The Holy Prophet tells him, Oh Ali, after a few days you come and join me in Medina, but you must do a few things. You must return all of the amanats which I have in my possession. All of these enemies of mine have given their amanats to me to look after. Imagine. They are my enemies. They want to kill me, but they want me also to look after their possessions. Go and return them to the people and then join me in Medina. But you are not to come alone. You bring with you 3 very special people. The 3 very special Fatimas you need to bring with you. One is your mother, Fatima bint Asad. One is Fatima bint Zubair. And one is my beloved Fatima, the peace of my heart, the light of my eyes. You need to bring with you Fatima to Zahra. Bring these 3 Fatimas. See how the protection of Hazrat Abu Talib was very, very special. Amirul Mu'mineen, he does what he is instructed. He gives back the amanats. He takes the ladies, the 3 amazing women. He takes them and he starts to walk towards Medina. Rasulullah says, these are my amanat to you. Return my daughter, she is my amanat. Amirul Mu'mineen, on the journey towards Medina, they say he was ambushed, he was waylaid, he was attacked. He fought, he was very much hurt, he got wounded, he got cut, but they could not touch the women. Amirul Mu'mineen defended them. By the time he reaches Medina, Rasulullah is waiting for him. He gives the reins of the horse of Janab Fatima to Rasulullah. He says, Ya Rasulullah, here is your daughter, here is your amanat. I have returned to her safe and sound. These were the words of Amirul Mu'mineen. But these were not the words of Amirul Mu'mineen. On the day when he's burying Janab Fatima, On that day he says something else. He says, Ya Rasulallah, here is your amanat which I am returning to you. But this is not the same Fatima which you had given me. This Fatima which I am returning to you, she is a different Fatima. You can ask her, Ya Rasulallah, you ask her yourself, why is her body full of bruises? Ya Rasulallah, you ask her yourself, what did your ummat do to her in your absence? Ya Rasulullah, you ask her yourself, why was her baby crushed inside her? Ya Rasulullah, you ask her yourself, why are her ribs broken? Allah la'natullahi al-qawmi al-zalimin wa sayalamu alladhina zalamu ayya munqalibin yanqalibun. Matame Hussein.